Hey YouTube, this is going to be my first video. I got this knife and the tip got broken off. I don't know how, but it just ended up, it's a pretty cheap knife. So what I'm going to try to do is, and I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to take a plasma cutter and I'm going to cut and reprofile this knife and try to make it sharp again. So we'll see. Hopefully the heat from the plasma doesn't destroy the tempering. So we'll give it a shot. I'm going to try to set this up and create like a small template to run the plasma torch up against, and hopefully we'll see some good results with it. Like I said, it's a cheap knife. I don't really care what happens to it. If I ruin it, oh well. You know, I'll just use it out here for whatever. But let's give it a shot and give me a few minutes to get it all set up, and I'll be back with it. So what I'm going to try to do here is I've made this outline of what I think the knife had looked like at one time. So I think I'm going to cut this out on the bandsaw to this exact shape here, and then cut the back off of it so that it ends up going a little bit further forward this way, and I can see if I can't reclaim some of that same original shape. Although the knife is going to be shorter, it's going to have the same shape as when it was first made. Not that that matters, but seems to be the I guess the best way to do it. And then what I'll do is I'll offset the template this way, and that way I have a guide to run the plasma torch up against. Otherwise it'll be shaky and difficult to deal with after it's been cut. So I'm going to cut this out on the bandsaw. I'll sand it and get it as smooth as I possibly can, and that'll give us a good guide. Okay, so I'm gonna clean this up on the sander. Sand to the line, make it nice and straight, and that'll give us our template. Okay, feels pretty smooth, so I think we're going to go with that, and we'll try it out, see how it works. So the tip on the plasma has about 3/16, maybe 1/4 of an inch offset from the center of the nozzle to the edge of the cup. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have enough of the template to, you know, recess backwards onto that blade to have the guide to run this part up against. Okay. I realize not everybody's got a plasma cutter. I just recently got this. It's unbelievable how well it works for all sorts of metals, aluminum, steel, whatever you might need. Works really good on cutting, you know, sheet type goods. But the main issue is that it does a really good job as far as keeping the steel cool only at the point where it makes the cut. It doesn't seem to heat up the entire piece of steel. I guess it's probably because it does it so fast that it doesn't have time to heat up that thermal mass of whatever you're cutting. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to try this and see what kind of edge we get. So let me get that set up and then we'll make it work. So a couple things. I've never cut stainless steel, especially something like this is pretty high carbon steel. So I've never cut anything with the plasma on that. I don't really know how it's going to react. I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. The other thing that I wanted to mention was if you were going to attempt to do this with some type of an abrasive cutoff wheel on a grinder or maybe a bench grinder that had a grinding wheel, about the only way you're going to do this without ruining this blade is to grind a little bit and then dump it in some water to keep it cool. Because once the steel heats up and turns blue, it's ruined. You're not gonna fix it. At least not with, you know, being able to keep these plastic handles on there intact. You're just going to ruin the knife. But anyway, let's make this happen. See what we get here. Got it all set up. You can see how I've lined it up. I'm thinking I'm going to get the profile that I want. When I started messing with this template, I realized that the tip of the knife is bent, and I'm not going to try to straighten that out. It's just going to crack. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the knife a little bit shorter. I shortened up this template a little bit so it's further back, and you've got more of a profile here that's a little bit shorter. So here we go. Okay, sorry about the compressor, but I do have a better place to do all this stuff, but unfortunately the tripod and all that business is kind of gets in the way. Let's check this out. Knife's not hot at all. Maybe 100 degrees. Yeah, the tip is pretty hot. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And I think I'm going to be able to grind this down and put a nice edge on this. There's just a little bit of slag on the backside, but not too bad. I was going to profile the top, kind of come down a little bit. I ain't going to mess with it. Looks good enough for me. Let's clean this up and see where we go. I'm just going to rough this out. This is not going to be the finished grind. I'm trying to take some of the slag off the back. It's not very much, but I've made a couple of passes with it, and it seems to be okay. I'm going slow so I don't overheat the metal. I think the hardness is still there, but I'm just gonna keep trying on it. I'm not really sure what the angle of this is supposed to be, but it's pretty steep. I'm just going to keep going on it. It doesn't seem to be too hot. You know? Not pressing very hard. It's actually starting to get sharp. Got a little nick right there. I'm going to try to grind that out. We'll give that a few minutes to cool down. Now I'll keep going on it. I think that's as far as we're going to go with this on the grinder. I've got the profile I think I want, and I got some Japanese water stones. I got 1,000 grit and a 6,000 grit. So I'm going to try to see if I can put a really super sharp edge on this knife. That's going to take a few minutes. I got to let the stones soak in the water, and a couple of pieces here I got to pop off from the slag that was generated by the plasma. So for the most part, it's actually pretty sharp. It'll probably cut fruit decent or whatever, but I want to make it as good as I can make it with the tools that I have. So I'm going to set that up and I'll come back. So I've got these Japanese water stones. You can get them on Amazon. I don't know, they're probably $7-8 a piece. I've used them mainly to sharpen chisels, and they do a fantastic job at that. But you gotta soak them down with water, and really it's the water that helps suspend the metal fragments into a kind of a slurry. And, you wipe that off, but normally I have a little Rubbermaid plastic box, I guess, that I put this in, and then I pretty much fill the water up till it's covering the top of the stone. But because the knife is so long, this is really kind of the only way I have to do it. We're going to see how this is going to turn out. I'm not sure if I need to have that water constantly in contact. I'm thinking I might. I don't know if I've got a pan big enough to put this whole thing in, but I'll have to go look for one. So I really think it needs the lubrication. Be working pretty good. Add some more water. That's working pretty good. I've got a coarser stone. I think I'm going to try that first. I'm going to go with that, and then I'll come back when I know I've got this a little bit cleaner, and the stone is a little bit more soaked with water. Okay, so I spent about half an hour trying to make this knife sharp, and it is pretty much as sharp as I think it needs to be as far as for what I'm going to use it for. It'll cut probably just fine. There's a couple of ragged edges on it. I'll continue to work on those. I flattened the back a little bit. You could see where the high spots were taken down. I just want to make one thing clear. As I'm not an expert at sharpening anything. Basically, my experience has been just what I've done here in my shop and as a Boy Scout and what I've learned from other people. So, you know, if I'm not doing it right or whatever, I'm not aware of it. So if anybody has any tips or anything, you know, just leave them in the comments. I'm going to continue to work on this maybe just a little bit more. I've got only one edge right here where it seems to be just a little bit of a wire on that edge. I'm going to try to work on that. But for the most part, I think it's pretty much done, and it's going to work just fine in the kitchen. This is a Walmart knife, so it's not like it's real expensive. It's probably less than a $10 knife. But for the most part, I think it turned out okay. You know. All right, I'm going to work on it a little bit more, and then when I come back, I'm going to cut a piece of fruit and see what happens with that, and that'll be wrapping this thing up. And give me just a few more minutes, and we'll see what the result is. So here we are in the kitchen. And let's see what we can do with this. Yeah, that does a pretty good job. In fact, that's actually sharper than when I got it from Walmart. Yep, I'm happy with that. That was about a half an hour well spent. Yeah, that does a pretty good job. All right. Okay, so all in all, this turned out to be a pretty good project. Didn't take all day, and unfortunately, this is Florida here, so it's pretty hot outside. So I'm inside now. Just made myself a cold drink. This is my first video, so it's going to be rough. The audio is going to be rough. It's going to be the way that it is for a while, and I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this or not. But I figured I'd give this a shot. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Johnny T. He's RV Kubota Man on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the comments or in the notes. You might want to check out his channel. He does a bunch of stuff with Kubota tractors and welding and just small projects like that. He's a pretty good guy. He's just getting started as well. I pretty much got my inspiration from Jimmy DiResta and Jay Bates, those guys on YouTube. You may want to check them out too. So this is going to be the end of the video, and I hope you like it. If there's any comments or whatever, just you can email me or leave them down in the comments. Again, I just want to say I'm not an expert pretty much at anything. I'm just a guy that works out of his own garage, likes to do different projects, experiment with metal and woodworking, and I've done quite a few projects. But what I'd like to do in the future is maybe show you some of the stuff that I've done, and I also want to do some videos, review videos with flashlights and things like that. I'm kind of into that stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to end the video here, and thanks for watching.